everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie. I read a lot of books and I sing, and I want to be performing on a stage right now, but I'm not. And anyway, to move on, I've got a book review for you today. It is called Unburied, and it's by Jesmyn Ward. So that is the front cover. So I'll get straight in with the blurb for you. Jojo is 13 years old and trying to understand what it means to be a man. His mother, Leonie, is in constant conflict with herself and those around her. She is black and her children's father is white. Embattled in ways that reflect the brutal reality of her circumstances, she wants to be a better mother but can't put her children above her own needs, especially her drug use. When the children's father is released from prison, Leonie packs her kids and a friend into her car and drives north to the heart of Mississippi and Parchman Farm, the state penitentiary. At Parchman there is another boy, the ghost of a dead inmate who carries all the ugly history of the South with him in his wandering. He too has something to teach Jojo about fathers and sons, about legacies, about violence, about love. I had an interesting relationship with this book because it's quite slow, and I don't do slow. It flits between characters, the chapters. So you've got Jojo's point of view, you've got Leonie's point of view, and then when they finally get the father out of prison, you get his point of view. And yeah, interesting relationship with this one, because I'll say it reads like, you know, those kind of dramas that win the Oscar. It read like one of those kind of movies. Because I was saying to my mum about how I felt about reading this book and how I thought it was a slow drama, you know, and how I don't really do well with slow dramas. And my mum was just like, who does get on with slow dramas? But to be fair, there was an audience for them, because otherwise these things wouldn't exist. It's 304 pages and it's in American fiction and contemporary fiction. But yeah, it's essentially a driving story. A lot of what happens in a car, which is, I think, why I can imagine it as one of those Oscar-worthy movies. Because I feel like it would probably work better as a film. Because I'll admit, I hated Leonie. And to be fair, you can tell from reading the blurb that it's on purpose. Because straight away you say that she's, you know, she wants to be a mother but she can't put her children above her own needs. And that is clear as day throughout the book, that she just doesn't know how to be a mother. She doesn't have that maternal instinct. And there's certain other characters in the book which do actually say that. Because there's points throughout the book where Jojo, with his sister, he is 13 years old and he is essentially kind of on this trip. You know, he's given money, he has to go in and, you know, pay for fuel and then come out again. And he will kind of sneak some like money here and there so that he can get food and drinks for himself and his sister, because they're not being looked after. And so straight away there you're just like, this woman, Leonie, is so wrapped up in the fact that, you know, she's going across the country to get her boyfriend out of prison, that she's not paying attention to the fact that she's got a teenager and a baby in the back seat who are hungry. And so even when they have like their stops along the way and she's going, oh, I'm not hungry, and they're looking at the kids and the kids are going, we're hungry, because Leonie is just so wrapped up in herself that she just does not pay attention to the people around her. There's a point in the book where the baby sister gets really, really sick. You know, you've got Jojo really trying to look after his baby sister, and Leonie just sees it as kind of a spanner in the works. It's just like, we need to be on the road, we need to get to where we need to go. And when the baby's throwing up and everything, she just sees it as a problem. Again, her maternal instinct doesn't come out. She's not there to kind of look after her baby. She's just there going, oh God, this, like, why now, kind of thing. While everybody else is running around saying, you know, she's really sick, you know, this is more than just getting car sick, you know, everything, the thing that she's eating and drinking is coming straight back up again. And yeah, I think I added to some frustration while I was reading it because of how unlikable Leonie is. But it goes to show you that it really is the point especially when it gets to a certain point towards the end and Jojo's having a conversation with his grandma. She basically just says, yeah, you know, she loves you, but she doesn't have that instinct. You can say you're hungry, but she won't feed you. The moment that I read that, it was quite hard hitting, actually, to think of the fact that, you know, that there are women out there like Leonie who just don't have that instinct. Like, they've got a family, you know, they've got children, but they don't have that maternal instinct. Not everybody has it. I enjoyed this book to an extent, but there was just some parts of the story that just really, really annoyed me. If it was adapted into a film, I could see it doing really, really well. And actually, I think being turned into a film would speed it up a bit. The two main kind of voices you have are Jojo and Leonie. And I actually found that Leonie's chapters were shorter and Jojo's, I think it's because it's also to the fact that those chapters are done from the point of view of a child. The length of the chapters reflect Jojo kind of trying to understand everything. Because like in the first chapter, it's him with his pop, with his grandfather, and he's kind of being taught how to be a man. I think it's in the first chapter they kill a deer, and it's quite graphic, that part. I mean, for somebody who's, you know, I'm not a country bumpkin, you know, I've never grown up on a farm. So I think people who live on farms and have grown up on farms will probably quite relate to that first chapter. For me, it just seemed a bit much. Yeah, it was a good book. There were points when it just felt a bit long-winded, I'll say that. But, you know, you can tell from the way I'm talking about it, I did enjoy this book. It's just there were certain points when I'd get to the end of a chapter and realise that I hadn't really read anything. And I was just like, did it just not go in? Do I need to reread that chapter and just read it again? And then I'd read it again and I'd be just like, no, it's just a case of not much really happened there. I definitely recommend it for people who like dramas. I'm not usually kind of a big drama fan. As evident from previous books, I like something with like a murder mystery to it. To be fair, I guess there is a little bit of a mystery in there when you're talking about some of the other... I'm really trying to say minimal about kind of other parts of the story, just because I think it's one that you have to read to really understand everything. Because basically there's talks of another character called Given who has died, and you're trying to understand kind of what happened that led up to Given's death. And they say it's Given to rhyme with river. And as I was reading that, I was just thinking, I think that makes more sense in maybe another accent, because he like Given and river don't really rhyme. When I read that, it was just like, does it though? Yeah, 304 pages in American fiction and contemporary fiction. I'd say that I think it's quite timeless. There wasn't really much reference to kind of modern like technology, because there's nothing really to kind of timestamp it. But yeah, so I thought that was quite a clever way to do it, where they've put it into kind of a setting where it doesn't need to be dated. Because it's always quite a nice thing to have a book where you can imagine it at any time, really. Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. There's even a comment from Margaret Atwood on the cover. It says, a must. I think that it's got potential there to be a classic, really. Obviously there's a bit, you could say there's a bit of a ghost story there. I mean, it does talk about ghosts on it, in the blurb. But there's definitely more elements of ghosts than the blurb implies. But yeah, it was definitely a good book. Not my favourite, but I think it's just because I'm not usually a fan of the style of it. It was just one that came up on my library app, and I just thought it sounded intriguing, so that's why I gave it a go. I think this one took me about a month to read, because I was doing it, like I'd read a chapter and then I'd put it down. I think it's mainly because of the fact that JoJo's chapters were really long chapters, so by the time I got to the end of a JoJo chapter I was just like, I feel like I don't want to put this down for a bit. Yeah, so I'd recommend it to people who like dramas, people who like things that are a little bit slower. The heart of the book is centred around a car trip, so if you like those kind of stories, yeah, I think you'd enjoy it. Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. At the moment, that's me all caught up on my library app ones. Before this book, I've got my Christmas books. My 7 books for Christmas. I don't know why I said it like that. But I do have an audiobook on here that I never got round to listening to, which expired. So it's back in January next year. So I think I'm going to reserve that. I'm reserving it. And that audiobook is Some Kind of Wonderful by Jesmyn Fletcher. I've realised that my audiobooks have the same colour theme going on. I'm not sure if you can see that. Oh. They're both like pink and blue. That's quite impressive. And they're both Fletcher related, because Carrie Hope Fletcher does the Fletcher audiobook. And Giovanna Fletcher is Carrie Hope Fletcher's sister-in-law. And as the time of recording this, we just found out that Giovanna Fletcher is Queen of the Castle in I'm Celeb. So that was my book for today. And as we've gone on, you've seen my hair dry. And I'm wearing a Disney top. I'm wearing Mickey and Minnie, and it says #friends at the bottom or something. I have no idea what it says. Anyway, what's going on with my hair? So thank you so much for watching. I've been Debbie. That was Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. And yeah, I'll see you next week for another video, people. Mwah! Love you. Stay safe.